How the Spanish monarchy earns public trust. What makes people trust a monarchy in the modern world? It isn't simply the crown. It isn't the palaces, the royal titles, or the centuries of tradition. It is something much harder to build and much easier to lose. Public trust. For Spain's royal family, that trust has been tested by changing generations, political debates, public scrutiny, controversies, and a society that expects its institutions to prove their value. And yet, the monarchy continues to occupy a place in Spanish public life. So what keeps the institution going? Why do some Spaniards continue to support the crown? And perhaps most importantly, what is the royal family doing to convince a new generation that the monarchy still has a purpose? Today we're going beyond the glamorous photographs and royal ceremonies to examine the strategies, traditions, and public responsibilities that shape the Spanish monarchy's relationship with the people. And stay until the end, because one young royal may be especially important to the monarchy's future. Her name is Princess Leonor. Trust is not automatic. Being born into a royal family gives you a title. It does not automatically give you public trust. That distinction is extremely important. Spain is a modern constitutional democracy, and the monarchy operates within that constitutional framework. The king is not an absolute ruler. The crown has defined constitutional responsibilities, while elected institutions govern the country. That means the monarchy has to justify its continued relevance in a very different way from monarchies of centuries ago. The question isn't simply, who deserves the crown? The modern question is, what does the crown contribute to society? That is why public appearances matter. Speeches matter. Charity work matters. Military service matters. How members of the royal family behave in public matters. Every appearance becomes part of a much bigger story, the story of whether the institution deserves confidence. King Felipe VI and the image of responsibility. King Felipe VI inherited the throne at a difficult moment. When he became king in 2014, the Spanish monarchy faced serious challenges to its public image. The institution needed to demonstrate that it could adapt. Felipe's approach has often emphasized professionalism, constitutional responsibility, transparency, and a more modern public image. One of the most important elements has been the idea that the monarchy should be seen as a working institution rather than simply a symbol of privilege. Royal duties involve meeting citizens, receiving foreign leaders, representing Spain abroad, attending important national events, supporting cultural institutions, and participating in ceremonies connected to the Spanish state. These activities may look routine, but from a public relations perspective, they send a powerful message. The crown is working. And in the modern era, visibility can be essential to institutional credibility. Queen Letizia's connection with modern Spain. Queen Letizia represents another important part of the monarchy's public image. Before becoming queen, Letizia worked as a journalist. That background gave her experience with communication, media, public speaking, and current affairs. As queen, she has become particularly associated with causes involving education, health awareness, culture, children, and social issues. Her public role helps the monarchy connect with subjects that affect ordinary families. And that connection matters. A royal institution can easily appear distant if its members are seen only at grand ceremonies. But when members of the royal family visit schools, hospitals, charities, cultural organizations, and communities, they can create a different impression. The message becomes, we are not only representing the institution, we are listening to society. The power of public service. One of the strongest tools available to a constitutional monarchy is public service. Think about what people see when a royal visits a disaster-affected community. They don't see a palace. They see someone standing among people who have experienced loss. When a royal attends an event supporting young entrepreneurs, students, athletes, artists, or researchers, the crown becomes associated with those parts of national life. That doesn't mean every citizen will suddenly support the monarchy. It doesn't work that way, but it creates opportunities for the institution to demonstrate relevance. And relevance is one of the biggest challenges facing any traditional institution. Why the military matters for Leonor. Now we come to Princess Leonor. Her future role makes her especially important to the monarchy's long-term relationship with the Spanish public. Leonor is the heir to the throne. But she is also being prepared for responsibilities that extend beyond ceremonial appearances. Her military education is particularly significant. As heir to the Spanish crown, her training reflects the constitutional role of the king as the country's head of state and supreme commander of the armed forces. For many viewers, seeing a future queen participate in military training creates a very different image from the traditional idea of a princess living inside a palace. She is learning discipline, leadership, responsibility, and service. Whether people support or oppose the monarchy, these experiences are part of the public narrative surrounding her preparation. And that narrative could become extremely important in the years ahead. The younger generation. Here's something the monarchy cannot ignore. Young people consume information differently. They don't necessarily follow traditional television broadcasts or read newspapers every morning. They discover public figures through social media, short videos, online news, documentaries, and digital communities. That creates both an opportunity and a danger for the royal family. The opportunity is direct communication. The danger is that every mistake can spread instantly. A photograph can go viral. A speech can be analyzed within minutes. A rumor can reach millions of people before anyone has verified it. For a young royal like Leonor, this environment will be especially challenging. Her generation of monarchy cannot rely entirely on tradition. It has to understand modern communication, transparency, and accountability. Trust also depends on accountability. Modern citizens expect public institutions to answer questions about money, conduct, responsibilities, and standards. That expectation is especially strong when an institution is connected to the state. The Spanish royal household has therefore placed greater emphasis over time on presenting information about its activities, institutional structure, and finances. Transparency doesn't guarantee universal approval, but it can reduce the perception that an institution operates completely behind closed doors. And that matters because secrecy can create suspicion. The more an institution explains itself, the more opportunity it has to demonstrate how it works. Tradition still has power. But here's the fascinating part. The Spanish monarchy doesn't have to choose between tradition and modernity. It can use both. Royal ceremonies connect the present to Spanish history. State visits demonstrate diplomatic relationships. National celebrations create moments of shared identity. The royal family's participation in important cultural events highlights Spain's artistic and historical heritage. Tradition can therefore become a form of continuity. The challenge is making sure tradition doesn't become disconnected from modern society. A ceremony means little if people believe the institution behind it has no relevance. But when tradition is combined with service, it can become more meaningful. The human side of the royal family. Another major source of public interest is something very simple. People want to see the human side of public figures. They want to know what the person behind the title is like. This is one reason moments involving Felipe, Letizia, Leonor, and Infanta Sofia attract enormous attention. A formal royal event can show duty, but a natural smile, a family interaction, a sporting moment, or an emotional speech can show personality. And personality can create connection. Of course, the royal family must balance that human image with privacy. That balance is difficult. The public wants to know more. The family wants personal space. The media wants access. And social media never sleeps. Managing those competing expectations is now part of modern royal life. What about controversy? No discussion about public trust would be complete without controversy. The Spanish monarchy has faced difficult moments, and some controversies have affected public perceptions of the institution. This is important because trust isn't created by pretending problems don't exist. In fact, institutions often strengthen credibility when they respond to difficult situations with seriousness and accountability. King Felipe's reign has included efforts to distance the current institution from conduct that could damage the crown's reputation. The broader lesson is clear. The actions of one generation can affect the reputation of the next. That is why Leonor's generation is being watched so closely. She isn't simply inheriting a title. She is inheriting a reputation, and the responsibility to shape what comes next. The role of national unity. Another argument often associated with constitutional monarchies is continuity. Spain is a country with different regions, languages, cultures, and political perspectives. The monarchy presents itself as a national institution intended to represent the country as a whole. Whether every Spaniard accepts that role is another question. But the concept itself is central to the crown's constitutional identity. The king can meet political leaders from different sides. He can represent Spain during international visits. He can attend national commemorations. And he can appear during moments when the country needs a symbol of continuity. That doesn't mean the monarchy can solve political disagreements. It can't. But it can attempt to provide a nonpartisan national symbol within the constitutional system. Why Leonor could change everything. And now we reach the biggest question. What happens when Princess Leonor eventually becomes queen? Her generation will inherit a completely different Spain from the one experienced by previous monarchs. Technology will be even more powerful. Social media will be even more influential. Public expectations will continue changing. And younger generations may demand greater transparency, accessibility, and accountability from institutions. Leonor's preparation suggests that her future role is being taken seriously. Her education, military training, public appearances, and increasing participation in official events are gradually introducing her to the responsibilities of the crown. But the most important thing she will inherit isn't the throne. It's the challenge of earning trust. Because every generation has to prove itself. The real secret of public trust. So, how does the Spanish monarchy earn public trust? There isn't one magical answer. It happens through thousands of small moments. Showing up, listening, serving, representing the country, respecting constitutional responsibilities, maintaining professionalism, adapting to society, learning from difficult moments, and communicating with a public that has more choices than ever before. Trust is not something a royal family can demand. It has to be built. And once built, it has to be maintained. That may be the most important lesson of all. Conclusion. So, when you look at the Spanish royal family, don't just look at the crowns, palaces, ceremonies, and famous photographs. Look deeper. Look at the preparation. Look at the public service. Look at the communication. Look at the changes taking place from one generation to another. And especially watch Princess Leonor. Because the future of the Spanish monarchy may ultimately depend on how successfully she can turn inherited tradition into earned public confidence. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Princess Leonor can strengthen public trust in the Spanish monarchy when she becomes queen? Yes or no? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Spanish royal family, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because there's much more coming about Princess Leonor, Queen Letizia, King Felipe, and the future of Spain's crown. And remember, a crown may be inherited, but trust must be earned.